everyone. Welcome back to another JCT Talks podcast.
In today's episode, we'll be interviewing Jake from the YouTube channel John Boy.
Please like this video and subscribe to the channel.
Now on to the podcast. Today we're going to be interviewing Jake from the YouTube channel John Boy. So Jake, if you wanted to tell us a little bit about the channel John Boy or about yourself, please do.
Callum, Jake, what's up, boys? Yeah, man. Everybody knows that damn John Boy guy. We go back. We go back to early high school, freshman year of high school, and we're buddies. Played baseball together. He was the catcher. I was in center field 3B utility. You don't see enough of those these days. And then, we were friends. We stayed in touch. He actually moved away junior year of high school, and we still kind of stayed in touch. His family moved back. We went to the same college. We partied probably too much, and then he was always the video guy. He always had a camera, and he was filming something or doing something silly. And then fast forward a few years, he told me, he's like, "Hey man, people want me to do a Yankees podcast." I said, "I have no idea what that is. I know what the Yankees are, not sure about the podcast." And then, podcast turned into YouTube, turned into everything you guys see now. I mean, it's honestly been awesome. And we, the YouTube's got a huge following, and it's taken a lot of work. We've also gotten incredibly lucky with a lot of things. But man, get to talk sports and be silly for most of the day, which is kind of what I did the rest of my years, whether it was school or work or whatever I was doing. So now I'm here with you boys.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, sports is like really fun to watch and to play. I mean, I play baseball too. I'm a catcher most of the time, and me and Jake started a podcast too. So I mean, that's pretty cool. I've been watching John Boy for a little bit now, and we've been doing interviews and stuff. So I was like, oh, Jake, I should reach out to him, see if he wants to join. And now here you are, and it's really cool.
Yeah, man, starting podcast with Jake's is a smart thing to do. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, so let me just start. So like, what is kind of like your routine these days?
Well, during the season, so I mean, this year was nuts. I mean, I don't have to give you guys the full story because everyone's got their different craziness from this year. I actually moved. I was in Denver, moved to New York. John Boy was in New Jersey. He moved to New York. We got an office. We were ready to rip, and then COVID kind of hit. And again, we compared to a lot of other people, we've been really lucky because we had been doing everything remote before that. So it was just kind of a minor inconvenience, kind of go back to the way we know. It takes more time to do stuff over the internet than in person. And we were waiting to hear what was going on with baseball. And then once we found out, our company is built around baseball. So we were like, let's squeeze everything we can out of it. So we would do, I think we're doing 4 talking baseballs and 4 talking Yanks episodes a week. Doing some, I think we were doing some watching stuff and JJRs around that. And man, it was packed because we also, when we originally started doing Talking Yanks, we record after every series ends. So normally Wednesday, Thursday, and then there's a Sunday night episode. So you recap the 3 or 4 game set. So, we do that after the game. So if a game ends at 11 p.m., we're on the mics at 11:30 to 1 or whatever it is. So we really grinded out this baseball season, and we had to. I mean, it was a 60-game season with the playoffs. So the off season gets a little looser. I mean, we've been lucky that we've turned it into a business now. We got like 15 or so people that work with us, and the weeks come and go. We actually, part of the reason I got to link up with you boys this afternoon is we said in the off season, like, let's take Fridays a little more chill. We'll appreciate that come the season, but I don't know, I'd say 3 out of 4, we still end up going into the office and doing something. But yeah, and it's lining up the schedule for this year, which, you know, I don't have to tell you guys, but we'll see. I mean, I think the season's going to be on time, and then if we can plan around that, we'll go from there. I don't think we're going to go as nuts because me and Jimmy both killed ourselves along with our buddy Trevor. So we'll see. We're figuring it out. That being said, Jimmy's a nut job. He loves to work. He's so passionate, and I love to work too. I like to do stuff outside of work. I like you know, I like it all, but no, we'll end up doing a ton of stuff, and you know, we just what we tell everybody, because they're like, what are your guys' goals and stuff? And don't get me wrong, if you're a goals person, that's cool. Our goal has just been to grow. You know, grow, have fun, and that's what we've been doing. So we'll see. If we get 162, we'll plan our schedule around that. If we get 100, we'll plan it around that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I first of all, I really like your baseball sweater. It's really cool. And
Yeah.
also, yeah, nice.
And I've got a friend joining us real quick. Noodle
Ooh.
the Doodle popping out from around the corner. Oh, and he left.
Nice. Yeah. And yeah, sometimes work is fun. Like when you've been doing it for so long, like sometimes you're like, I need just a relaxed day, but then on that relaxed day, you're kind of thinking like, I could work. I could do some work. It's kind of fun, you know?
Yeah, man, there's always something you can do. That's the crazy part. I mean, whether it's, you know, taking clips from the Talking Baseball podcast and putting it on Instagram, or you know, doing anything like that. And that's where Jimmy was really amazing at the start. I'm honestly pretty bad with technology. And he's a very good editor. I mean, for anyone that's watched the breakdowns, he's good at that. Now we've got a bunch of editors. So yeah, man, it's tough because you want to go and you want to grow, and I mean, something I'm pretty good at is trying to disconnect and wanting to relax. And, you know, sometimes you lose sight of it, but it's for getting to do what we do and talk baseball. I mean, you still got to send some emails and do some stuff that people like, but if that's it, I mean, we're pretty lucky.
Yeah, it's very important to definitely have fun while you're doing like what you do every day.
Yeah, man. That's oh man, Noodle the Doodle Dog's really getting into this interview now. Noodle, do you have any comments on the situation? He just sat down. He's bowing out. Yeah, man, you got to. I mean, we you know, I think when we were first getting going, oh, he just put his butt on me. We no, we had a ton of fun, and we remember all these cool moments, you know. Like I think our first guests were Yankees fans. I think it was Jack Curry. And then we had Michael K, and like Michael K for us, man, as Yankees fans, you know, that was the dude that was calling games every night. Like, you know, 162. We were, you know, from middle school through now. If you turned on Yes Network, that's who you see. And so you have those cool moments, and you know, you almost get nervous. Like, you know, I know you guys prep some questions and stuff, and you know, we would do that really hard, and you get nervous. You don't want to ask a bad one, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's good to be prepared, but you also don't want to psych yourself out. You know, you got to have fun and be yourself. And you know, I'm a pretty silly dude. I've finally come to grips with that, and not that I struggled before, but you know, as a kind of a joke, I asked Jack Curry, because he's so professional. He's one of the best in the business. I was like, Jack, like, what do I need to do to become more professional? Almost like a joke, like seeing what he'd come back with. And he was like, honestly, Jake, what you're good at is being you and being silly and having fun. So he's like, do that, man. And that's, you know, I'd pass that advice to anyone.
Yeah, it's very important to definitely like I said, have fun and enjoy your career and make new friends and just do what you love doing every single day and keeping what you're doing, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And that's, you know, as things were growing and we were turning into a company, and like I said, people, you know, like work for us now, you know, you put pressure on yourself because you don't want to screw up. That, you know, sometimes you do get lost in it, and you have to step away and say like, hey, you know, that was, we interviewed Jack Flaherty last week. Like, that's awesome. You know, so it's, we do appreciate it, and it's a ton of fun, man. Baseball's fun. That's what we're trying to tell people.
Oh yeah, baseball is super fun. And my next question for you is, to kind of emphasize, how's the coronavirus pandemic affected you personally and the podcast?
Yeah, man, it was so I moved to New York City. It was literally the first week of March. So it was right before it happened. So that was tough, you know. I mean, it's weird. I've got a really weird view of New York City. I mean, anytime I've gone on a subway, it's been pretty empty and it's normally crowded, and you know, the restaurants and stuff have been closed and then they opened up outside and stuff. So that's been weird. I think baseball wise, again, like we got the office and we couldn't go in for a little bit, and that was a bummer. But one of the advantages we had, and not to be full life coach to you guys or whoever's listening, but you know, it's making the best out of a situation, or I don't want to say taking advantage because that sounds like COVID's a good thing or something like that. But I'll describe it the way I did with football or baseball or any sport. You know, some teams are going to look at it and say, okay, how can we, if you're a football team, how can we use the situation at hand and make the best out of it? And some football teams did that better than others. And, you know, it's the same thing with John Boy Media. I think our biggest thing was like, once we knew there was baseball, like, all right, we're going to go as hard as we can, like no timeouts. I think there was like one weekend that I was like, I played golf with some buddies, a fantasy football draft. We've done it for the past few years. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this, but every other week, every other week, every other weekend for about 3 months, we were in it full tilt, which is awesome, but also exhausting. So it, it worked out for us because we're still a small company. We could adapt. Like, it was funny. You guys probably remember, you know, when ESPN first picked up the KBO games and they were doing the broadcasts online, you know, they were having some technical difficulties and things. And we weren't laughing at them. We were laughing with them because we'd already dealt with those. I mean, that's kind of what we've been doing. We're on Zoom right now. You know, we used to do Google Hangouts and the YouTube live stuff. So you know, we adjusted as good as we could, and you know, it ended up being a pretty good year for us.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah. So I know that your podcast, Wake and Jake, you film that live, right? And you interview people, and you do a lot of stuff, and it's really cool. And John Boy's close to 800,000 subscribers, which is crazy. I mean, I remember last time I checked, it was like 700,000, and now you're like 780,000. So you guys are definitely growing a lot. You are producing a lot of content. Yeah, the breakdowns are really funny and good that Jimmy does, and your podcasts with Jimmy and just on your own are also good. So you guys produce a lot of content, and that's really good. I mean, just being consistent, uploading, you know, weekly, and I mean that's really good. That's probably why you guys are growing so much, and that's what a lot of other creators are trying to accomplish. But it's kind of tricky because like you got to edit, you got to film, you got to produce, you got to make good content. Like that's the biggest thing. You don't want to just upload a video of like it's not even that good to YouTube because then it's not going to get good. So then you got to put in time and effort into your videos, and each video that's working a lot, and you definitely need more crew. I mean, me and Jake, like we kind of share the work, you know, like he edits and I make the thumbnails, and we kind of all just work, which is good because if you were starting a solo podcast with no one else, it'd definitely be trickier. And like you were saying, like, I mean, first of all, you and Jimmy both have your own podcast, but you also have like 15 other people that help you guys. It's because you need that help in order to produce all those videos.
Yeah, and I mean, there's people out there that think we're like a really big company. Like that 15 number is pretty new. I mean, we were 5 for a while. We were 2 for a while, and then we were 5, and then we were 10. And yeah, I mean, again, tech wise, I stink, and I couldn't help out Jam a lot, and I felt bad, but also, you know, I tried to pick up where I could, whether it was a newsletter or you know when we made our shop and things like that. So you got to find that balance as you grow. And yeah, man, we you know, good content, like you said. I know we wanted to kill them with content. That was kind of the phrase we said for a while. Like we're gonna put so much stuff out there. And you know, we've also had some stuff that's missed, and you have to change some stuff. And you know, we originally used to do John Boy Jake Radio 5 days a week. That used to be like our training ground. Like we used to, you know, an hour a day, we're going to get on the mics and we're going to do it and, you know, get better and try to stop saying and ah and all the little stuff like that. And you get better. And so yeah, man, it's been awesome. I mean, the growth of the YouTube channel was insane when it first started taking off. We went from like 3,000 to like 50K in like 2 weeks. Then we went from 50K to 100K in like another week. It was just insane. And again, it was a lot of hard work paying off, and we've had these big moments, but it's also putting yourself in position for these big moments. I know a lot of people, the Astro scandal, which was huge for Jimmy, huge for John Boy Media. A lot of people would say or ask the question, and hey, maybe you guys have it on there, but it was like, how big was the Astros scandal for you guys? And at first we were almost defensive because we put up so much work before the Astros scandal that we were like, hey, the Astros scandal is cool, but we've done this, this, and this, and this. But at the same time, I think we did start to appreciate, like, the Astros scandal, that left baseball, that left sports. So a lot of people, that was easily the first time they got their eyes on us. And it definitely, was a huge growing point for us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys have definitely, grown a lot and done a lot in this year, this, crazy year, as a lot of people describe it, or last year, I guess, because, 2021 is now, and I mean, you guys could probably reach 1 million subscribers this year, which is crazy to think, but at the rate that you're going, it's definitely going to happen. And that's crazy. Cause like, when you really think about it, I mean, if you're just a viewer going around YouTube or any other source of place that you can just listen or watch things, and you see 1 million, I mean, it's sometimes even at the point, because some creators have 10 million or 20 million, which is crazy. Like, you're 1 million is just kind of like nothing, but like really getting up to that point is really crazy, because 1 million people, like, that's the population of some states, some cities, some everything. I mean, 1 million is a lot of people. I mean, if you really think about it, because like, if you're a performer or on stage, you're hosting an event and you're on stage, there's only gonna be a few thousand people there, but it looks like so much more people, And think about that, like 1,000 more times, like 1,000 people there, 5,000 people there. Think about that, like, 1,500 more times. I mean, then it's really crazy. So there's also that too, and like 700,000 even sounds maybe not like so much compared to how people can have grown nowadays to this day, but it really is a lot of people. And I mean, that is an amazing accomplishment to have in life, and to get viewers, and to get to get other people like that too. And I mean, you guys do really post a lot of content. I mean, during the baseball season with the breakdowns, sometimes the breakdown doesn't, like, it's just like a little home run, or it's just a little um a hit by pitch and an ejection, sometimes like little things like that. But I mean, how Jimmy does do it is really well. And how you do your podcast is also really well. So how you can take little things that might not just kind of be like nothing, you guys really can really make more out of that, really, make more content. And that it's just really, it's a really nice skill that you guys have.
Thanks, man. And yeah, I think something that we try to tell people, and something we did is, if you've got 50 people listening, that's a lot, man. Step in front of 50 people and talk. Like, my high school classroom, I think was, 20, 30 kids, something like that. And if there was a project in English, I could BS my way through it and do all right. I had one of the worst Spanish presentations ever. I stood in front of 30 people. I did not study, and it was a disaster. And so we just, whether it was 100 people, whether it was 100,000 people, whatever it was, I wouldn't say, you know, hand treat it not necessarily professionally, but treat it the same way. Like, you have to. So, um, I mean, that was a big part of our growth, treating it, if you're talking to 100 people, treat it the same way like you're talking to 100,000 people. And yeah, I mean, the numbers are crazy, man. I mean, we get, sometimes you do have to take a step back and be like, oh my God, like if it's 1 million people, you don't realize, like, that's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really, like you said, it could be just a small classroom of 20 to 30 people. You've got it's a lot of people, right? ears listening to you, and they're all looking at that one person, and specifically how work your way up. And at the beginning, like you said, the eyes, right? Like that is just the small things, but you can get better with that as you go. And it's also really the same with sports, right? With baseball, you got to train, you got to get better, you've got to do a bunch of things. And it's also with positions. So like you said, there you editing newsletters, like there's a lot of different things that people have to focus on. You get really good at newsletters, but then might not be good at editing. So that's the same with the baseball team, right? So somebody might be really good with hitting or catching, right?
It's practice makes perfect, man. I mean, there's a lot of corny lines out there, but they kind of make sense for a reason. If you go out, if you're shooting hoops and you take 100 3-pointers a day, I bet after a month you're going to be a better 3-point shooter. And that's kind of what I was saying with JJR when we first started it. We were like, hey, let's get better. Let's see what works and gets better. And we're down to one episode a week with that, and we still have a ton of fun with it. But yeah, and it's people people ask us about some of the different stuff, and I mean, I think Talking Yanks were on episode 500 something now. And I started the Wake and Jake podcast, and it's still evolving, and I'm still, there's days when I walk away and I'm like, oh, that was great, like we ripped today. I love that, I love this, blah blah. There's other days where it's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that, maybe we should do this. So and again, when you think about it, I think I've done 80 of those now, something like that, where again, I mean, Talking Yanks, I've done, you know, 10, not 10 times that, but a lot more. So that's where I give you guys credit. Cause I think, something that me and Jimmy, I don't think we'd say we wish we got started earlier, because Jimmy had tried out a lot of stuff. He went to video and editing school. He used to do, I don't know if you guys have seen the food reviews. I don't know if you guys have seen Grown Losers. Like he tried different stuff. I did some different stuff with him that, we just never fully put it together with Yankees in the sports realm. And that's also what took off. So you gotta go for it. That's where I give you guys all the credit. I mean, go for it now. Like if you guys add 2 followers a day, and then that turns into 4 followers a day and 8 followers, it starts to add up, and you position yourself to be right. So I give kudos to you guys for getting going.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, that is, yeah, we're at like 61 followers now, and we started about 6 months ago, which I mean, I think that's pretty good. Starting a channel 6 months ago, I mean, we were just talking one day, and we were like, what if we just started a podcast, TeaTalks? And we did, and we did it, and it's really become part of your routine now. So then you really want to do it each week, and it's really fun to film and to see it's out there and to see the views going up and to see just to see how it's going. And even at a small number like 61, I mean, that's still like a big number. Like you were saying, like 61 people is a lot of people. And yeah. And also like in baseball, I mean, I pitch and I'd catch. And like as a catcher, you don't really get all the attention because you're more attention. All your attention goes on the batter or the pitcher, probably the pitcher first, then the batter. So as a catcher, you don't really need to worry about everyone staring at you or anything like that. And you don't, I mean, it's just kind of like you're there and you're just kind of catching the pitches and all that. And then, but a pitcher, everyone's looking at you, every single person, the umpire, the catcher, the players, everyone is looking at you because, they're waiting for the next move. But the best thing to do is just cancel out everyone, cancel out the batter, cancel out the umpire, just focus on the mitt. And that's really what, you got to do in order to throw strikes. And that's, I mean, even if you train every day, every year, you can become an amazing pitcher, but you do not do well under pressure, then you're not going to become the best pitcher of all time because the pressure is going to get to you. Everyone watching you is going to get to you. I mean, if you're a major league pitcher, even if you're so good, a lot of major league pitchers also have to deal with pressure, 50,000 people watching them in a stadium or 30,000 people watching them in the stadium. And then you got to worry about cameras through the camera, people watching you too. So you really just got to work on that. And that's why every position though, seriously, is a lot. Cause if the ball goes to you and you're at second base, everyone's looking at you for them and then there. But you got to just focus on the game, focus on what you like, because these people are just watching you, aren't rooting for you. They're your fans, and you got to just appreciate them for rooting you on. Like they're not here to pressure you. They're not here to make you worse. They're here to make you better and show their support.
Yeah, man, and it's again, another corny line, but it's just putting your best foot forward. And it was tempting, when the breakdowns were taken off, and to is it do more of those? Should I be doing those, or what is it? And we also do the watch and baggages, which we really like doing those. And if those were getting 2,000 views, while some of the breakdowns are hitting millions. And you kind of have to tell yourself, okay, should we be going more that way, should we be going more this way? But you got to believe in it too. So if you guys like the product you're putting out and you believe in what you're doing, keep going, keep grinding.
Yeah, I can completely agree because really you do not want to stop at the beginning. If you see, oh, I only have 10 followers, you do not want to stop there. You want to keep going, right? Doing what you enjoy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Do what you like and grind, man. That's what it's all about.
And I have another question for you is, do you have any like recommendations for life or tips or baseball or just podcasting? Like you seem like a really cool guy. Like do you have anything just to say?
Man, I'm not a cool guy. I want to get that on the record. No, man, it's let's see, what can I say without being too corny? Man, like what I was saying before to you guys, it's very, very genuine. Like the fact that you guys are going for it, have fun, do what you like. I'll tell you this story. So when I was in high school, um, so I played basketball freshman year, made the team. Let's go. My mom said, "You're not playing basketball anymore. There's too many practices." I said, "All right, mom, that's fair. I kind of stink anyways." So, but all my buddies were on the basketball team, and I always loved sports, man. I was hooked on ESPN. And so the grade above us, they actually started broadcasting the games on like the local TV channel. They got with the AV club. They set it up. My high school was Pomperaug High School. So instead of ESPN, they called it PSEN, which I don't know. There might be some copyright stuff there, but whatever. So the next year, all my buddies were on the basketball team. So I was like, hey, can we do this again? Like I'm in. Uh, and they were like, yeah. So worked with some of the tech kids, which again, I have almost very little talent there, and broadcast some of the games, and it was a blast. And I grew up in Connecticut, so that's where ESPN is. So that was always like a dream, but I never pursued it. I mean, for me, it was like I don't think that's attainable. I wasn't the best student. And ESPN was so big. I was like, no way, that wouldn't be for me. I don't think I could get there. And then circle back 10 years later, and we're podcasting and we're trying to do stuff, and we've got to a level that we've got millions of people watching our stuff. So I would say do what you're passionate about. Like my line for years was I'm kind of a basic guy. Like I like sports, blah blah blah. And you come to find out it's different. Like I really love sports, man. I grew up, I skipped Nickelodeon. Like I really wasn't into it. I watched a couple shows, sure, but like I was sports, man. If there was college football, college basketball, anything, like I was watching it, man. So that's I think I got away from that for a while, especially being silly too. I was like, you know what, I'll get a normal job. I'll work in the workplace. I'll go 9 to 5. I'll get a paycheck, and then I'll be silly outside of that. And now I get to be silly and have fun and watch sports for work. So, I don't know, man. You guys are young. I know you don't want to hear that when you're young, but you are. I still look young, and I feel weird hearing that sometimes. But man, do what you guys are into, like it, whether it's in school or whatever. Sure, there's some stuff you got to get through. What classes? Oh, I stunk at statistics. Oh my God. And you got to get through it. You got to survive and get through and all that. But, do what you're into. Don't be scared off. My sister, is into like arts, like drawing and pottery and all that kind of stuff. She went to school for art stuff, and everyone was like, there's kind of a stereotype, like, what are you going to do with that? She runs the art department for the YMCA's in upstate New York. So like, if you're into something, go and do it. Like if you're into rock climbing, like open a rock climbing gym. If you're into like if you're into something and you're passionate about it, like, do it. Do it. Whether, starts as a side hobby or whatever you got to do. If it's what you like doing, go do it. That's what I got.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah, I mean, doing what you like is the most important thing. And like your job, I mean, for you, it must feel amazing. I mean, because you get to do what you like what you enjoy, and you can do it for work. I mean, that's pretty awesome right there. And even if people who don't maybe want to, I mean, I don't know anyone really who likes to want to do a normal job, be a salesman, just do that kind of stuff. But a
Well,
lot of you
that's
could.
what I'd say, man. Yeah, there are people that do. Like we just brought on a salesperson, and like that's what they get into. Like that's what gets their adrenaline pumping. Like it's not making the 3-point shot to win the game. It's closing the sale and be like, oh, that was awesome. Like and that's what I tell people. Like people always assumed that I would be good at sales just because I'm like friendly and personable and I can crack a joke and hang out with you. Um, I wasn't. I was a bad salesman because I wasn't driven by getting money and like going to be a salesperson. You got to be wired that way to go, go, go and get the next one. That's not me. Like I'm pretty content. Like if you gave me enough money to pay rent and get Chipotle a couple times a week, like I'm good. So I think it's, there are people that way, and it's, you know, there are a lot of people like this is something we've run into with some of the athletes we talk to. Like, people, there's almost a stereotype like, oh, you're an athlete, so what are you going to do after that? You're going to go into the booth, or you're going to go into broadcasting, or what? There's a lot of athletes that would hate that, and there's a lot of people that would hate that too. So that's why I'd say, I have no problem hopping on a mic and doing this, or I just don't. So that's something I good at. I one of the jokes I tell my buddies is, I would have been a badass wedding DJ, like, but I would have never pursued that as a career. But man, if it was ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mrs. and Mr. Smith, and then you start dancing and everything, like, yeah. But I was like, let me get a job. I'm gonna major in marketing. I'm gonna get a job in business and go that way. And I did pretty well because I wanted to work and do good and get money. But at the end, I just lost my luster and started doing this, and one episode a week turned into two turned into three turned into, okay, is this a real business? And now we're here.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean that's really cool. On people's stories and a lot of people's stories. When you look up to someone, even like, and you hear their story, you're like that. I mean, everyone's story is kind of the same. I mean, unless you're born into like a like a famous family, you start from the bottom and you go to the top. Happens to a lot of people, who pursue what they like to do. And a lot of people, like Jake was saying, even how you have like 10 followers and you're just like, I can't do this. There's a lot of work, but if you really enjoy it, then you really should just keep doing it. And I mean, you can really accomplish a lot, like, I mean, all summer long, I had baseball three games a week because of the COVID. We had to do more. So, but those days that I didn't have baseball on, I mean, I would be outside. I'd be working, throwing to my pitch back, working on throws, working on catching. Like I had these big heavy balls. I would throw that, and then like work on framing and all this different stuff. I would just work on that on my own because I wanted more of it and I enjoyed doing it. So I would always work on that and all that. And so if you I do have another question that's like, if you could only bring 3 things to film a podcast, like what would be most necessary?
Ooh, I mean, are we talking technology? Are we talking like fun stuff or what?
I guess, yeah, like technology, like, you're filming Awake and Jake, like what would be most necessary?
Oh man. I mean, I need a mic, right? You can't do anything without a mic. Um, I mean, give me my mic, give me a laptop, and give me a camera. That's all you need, man. I mean, hell, don't even need the laptop. Well, it helps though. It helps though having the info in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was thinking of questions beforehand, that's actually what I was thinking too. I was thinking like, well, first of all, you need probably a laptop to put everything towards, because if you just had a camera, I guess it could be wireless, but and a microphone, you could also plug that into a camera if you had like a microphone like the one that I'm wearing right now. Um, I guess you could just do it with those, but a laptop does help it. Like if you want to film it live, if you want to do all this stuff. So I was kind of thinking that too. I think my original was 5, but then I was thinking, I mean, you really just need 3.
And that's something I've been my buddy Tom Piccolo. He's a Knicks fan. He's really good. He's really knowledgeable about the Knicks. I've been telling him to get rolling on some stuff, and sometimes for content you don't need that much. I mean, something that helped Jimmy get popular originally, he used to do Yankees post game recaps, and he just put his phone up and he'd say, Yankees won 7-4. Sabathia looked great today. Chapman got the save. But what, Aaron Judge with 2 home runs. What a game, blah, blah, blah. And like, that's content, and it's good content. And some people need that. And that's, not a lot of people, or some people can't watch a 3-hour baseball game. So they say, okay, who's this guy? Okay, that's what happened today. And then you get your knowledge up. And while I'm talking Yankees, I think I see the Orioles blanket back there. Are you guys both Orioles fans, or what's the deal?
I mean, I'm an Orioles fan, honestly, but I don't know about Jake.
I am not going to say my team because I feel like it's gonna bring up a discussion. So
that's telling me it's Mets or Red Sox. Which one?
whoa, I can't say.
Okay.
I know.
Hey, I grew up in Connecticut, and I've got a lot of my good buddies are Mets or Red Sox fans. So whatever it is, you're safe by me.
Yeah, well, I will say I do not approve of the Sox. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
But their team, their fans are safe around me. I will say I support everybody's their fan, whatever fan base they're in.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah. Very fair. Yeah, you gotta keep it cool. You gotta be nice to everybody. You gotta bring everybody in.
Amen. Be nice to everyone. Those are good words to live by too.
And the other thing is, I've seen some, so I've watched a lot of baseball videos on how to improve playing baseball too. And a lot of them say that they're a fan of the sport baseball, not any team. So they might go to a bunch of stadiums, watch different games, but they say that they just like baseball and not necessarily the teams too. So I mean, the teams are a part in it that do that too, and that you make up rivalries, maybe even friendly rivalries, like your middle school, high school team. You might have a little rivalry with the other team, but or another high school. But then you might have friends on that too. So it can have a friendly rivalry. I mean, when you get into professional, it's definitely not really a friendly rivalry. It's more of a very intense rivalry, too. So it definitely kind of goes up like that, definitely too. But they are just different teams, and that applies for all sports.
Yeah, man. It's I think at the professional level, it's interesting the difference between pro and college. I mean, college, you still got a ton of pride, and you're wearing the colors. I mean, in the pros, you guys see it a little bit. I mean, you're going to hit free agency, and you just want to get paid the most. So it's, a little less intense than it used to be. I mean, it's Tommy Lasorda who passed away today, R.I.P., legend of baseball. He's got all these quotes, bleeding Dodger blue and all of that. You don't see as much of that nowadays because there's a lot of contract stuff involved, but it's intense, man. Especially, that's playoff baseball is almost a different sport. Like every pitch is so intense that it's I'm looking forward to it in, I don't know, what do we got? 9 months, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the playoffs is always the biggest thing, and with baseball, it's very intense. I mean, I remember this year watching the playoffs. The teams that I want to advance to win, it's always like so intense. Like you want them to win. It's always back and forth. And I mean that's kind of how baseball is played, because like you could have a really good inning, and then you could have an awful other game. You could have, let's just say, the second inning, you score 5 runs. It's crazy. You're doing amazing. But you don't score any runs any other time. Everything's bad, 3 up, 3 down. And then the other team could just slowly gain their way, like one run each inning, and then they could, win 9-5 or 8-5. So I mean, there's that. You gotta keep consistent in baseball. And baseball's a long game. I mean, they're 3-hour games. You gotta it's pitch. You got 3 outs, 9 innings. So it's a long game, and I mean, it's very intense too. I mean, it's very intense. I know there was a game. I think it was the Marlins and the Braves, and the Braves won like 25 or like 30 to like 10. And like the Marlins, they had a good game. They scored like 10 runs in that game. But the Braves, I mean, they just did really well. They scored like 25 runs. So that's something too. There's just a lot to every sport. You just got to keep consistent.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, I'm a huge sports guy, as I told you guys, and every game's got its nuances. I mean, I think there was a basketball game the other night. I think it was Northwestern and Illinois, that Northwestern was up at the half by 12 points, and then Illinois won the second half 53-11 or something like that. And then yeah, man, I that Braves Marlins game you're talking about, I think the Marlins scored 9 that game, and I think, a normal night that wins them the game 99% of the time, but you give up 29 or 30 or whatever it was, and that's a bad formula for baseball. So it's the beauty of sports, man, and that's baseball, you always have a chance. It's the only sport with no clock.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. Like with any game, or you never want to give up. Like I said, if you start off with 10 followers, and like with baseball, you don't want to get too cocky and you don't want to give up, or because you can really make a comeback in a lot of different sports.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that's you see it all over the board. I mean, football, that's why the quarterback's so important. I mean, Mahomes isn't out of any game ever. Baseball, if you can hit, if that top of the lineup, that's why that Red Sox team from, what was it, that Red Sox team in 2018, the top of the order, I think it was Mookie, Benintendi, Devers, Bogarts, JD Martinez. Like, if they got to that top of the lineup, they were going to score runs on you. And that's it's fun, because that's I think the other unique team thing about baseball right now. Like basketball, you need one of the top players in the world. You need LeBron, you need KD, you need Steph, you need someone like that. Baseball, and I mean, it stinks for Trout. You don't necessarily need that, but you can have a team that's really good at pitching and defense. You could have a team that's really good with relief pitching and home runs. Like you can build it so many different ways. I think that's probably pretty unique about baseball.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because like you were saying, like with when you see a good team with a really good quarterback, they generally do really well. I'm just trying to think of a few, like the Kansas City Chiefs. They have really good, because they have Mahomes. The Ravens, they're doing well with Lamar, and
Packers.
Yeah, the Packers. Yeah, Green Bay. I mean, they're doing really well too this year. But with baseball, you really need a good lineup. You really need a good pitcher. You need a lot of that stuff, and that's what really came in the favor with the Dodgers this year, because they had an amazing lineup. And when I was looking at their lineup for the World Series, I was just like, wow, that is a crazy lineup. Because I mean, those are some of the best players in baseball at the moment right now, and they have some of the best pitchers too, and that's why they really won. I mean, that's why they did so well. And the Dodgers, some teams, are kind of always good. Some teams are good some years and then bad. I mean, I'm just gonna say the Orioles. I mean, in the 80s and the 70s, they're a really good team, and now they're just a really terrible team. And but like the Dodgers and even the Yankees, I mean, those two teams have kind of always just kind of been good, because they've always kind of had, everyone kind of wants to play for them. They're the fan favorites. Well, not necessarily the fan favorites, but they're two good teams, and they got a lot of good players.
Yeah, I've been spoiled as a Yankees fan. I think their last losing season was like 93 or something like that, which, I don't think enough Yankees fans appreciate. Like, that's insane. That's really insane. And yeah, I'm interested to see, the Padres, who were hot in the streets the past couple weeks. They had that great fun team this year, and they add Darvish, they add Snell. I wonder if you start seeing teams the top teams, if we start seeing more almost super teams form, like, like you're saying, the Dodgers lineup is stacked. They had a platoon of AJ Pollock and Jock Peterson, two guys that have each been all-stars, I believe. Like those, either of those guys could have been the best hitter on the Texas Rangers last year, but instead they're on the Dodgers platooning. So it's interested to see how, if baseball keeps trying to stack just a couple teams. I like baseball better when there's 15 teams that got a legit chance, but we'll see. The super team might become more of a thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And yeah, that's true. The Padres had a really good lineup last year. I mean, they got Tatis Jr. Yeah, like you said, they got Snell. I mean, once I saw that they got Snell, I was like, okay, yeah, they're gonna do really well, because last season even they did really well. They had how much losses did they have? Like 10 or 20 losses. They did really good, and not the best in the postseason, but they did or not the best in the playoffs, but they did really well. Uh, they just did really well up to the point, and they had to face the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are one of the best teams. They won the World Series, and that was a pretty hard game for them. But next year, when they're really good, I mean, the Rays also, they kind of deserved to make it to there, because I mean, they're a young team. They have a lot of improvements to make, but they're gonna look. They have a bright future ahead of them right now with all their people. Of course, they lost Snell and a few other players, but like they got some really good players that have a lot to improve, like Randy Rosarina, and you got Lau, and you got a bunch of good players. And I mean,
yeah.
you could have an amazing roster. Like I mean, the Angels have Mike Trout, which is considered the best, or one of the best MLB players right now at the moment, right? And he's up there with some of the best players of all time too. And he's on the Angels, and the Angels are a really bad team. But I mean, even though he's like one of the greatest players, I mean, his team might not be the best, but that's also why it's a team sport.
It's depth, man. Depth matters in this sport, and that's why the Rays are so good. I mean, you get a 40-man roster to call guys up on, and they pretty much use all 40 of them. They use all their pitchers. Each guy they call up from the minors has at least a skill, whether they're really good defensively or they hit lefties really well or whatever they do. That's something the Rays are really good at.
Yeah, I will finish this up, and I'll just say it's very important to definitely have a team that works together. And like you said, like with your crew, you might have someone that's really good with technology, but someone that's really good with podcasting, right? And it's very important to have, like you said, with a baseball team, you got to have someone who's really good at pitching. You got to have someone that's really good at right field. A lot of different things go together to make it all run well, like a well-oiled machine.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's what it is, and that's kind of the old saying in baseball. If if you're playing left field and you've never been out there and you don't want the ball hit to you, it'll find you. It'll find you, and it's kind of that same way, whether it's a company or whatever you're doing in life. If you've got a weakness, if you're putting together this great content, but you can't edit it or put it together, you're kind of stuck. So it's yeah, man, it's, if you want to become a great team, great company, you gotta have all of it.
Yeah, well, that is going to finish up the podcast. Do you have anything like words of wisdom to say to the viewers?
Man, keep grinding. If you want to do content, I feel like one of the questions I get the most is, I'm thinking about starting something, or I'm thinking about this or that. Go do it. Go get started. And that's where I'm excited to see you boys in 10 years, when you guys have the network with millions of followers, and I'm begging you guys, hey, interview me again. I want to be back. So if you're thinking about doing something, it's never too soon. Start a band, start cooking, start doing whatever you want. Like, don't wait, start going.
Thank you so much for watching today's video, and a very, very big thanks for Jake to coming out. This is going to be an amazing episode, and it was a very good interview and conversation. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Callum, would you like to talk about our Instagram and our other social media websites?
Yeah, and before I do that, yeah, thanks so much for Jake for coming out and having an amazing interview with us. It was really fun to interview you, so we really appreciate you coming out here today. and being with us. And thanks everyone for watching this video. We do appreciate it. Yeah, and yeah, please, if you liked our content, then it'd be really nice if you like the video, and I mean subscribe to the channel, because that can really help us out and then that can show us that your appreciation for the channel. So, and yeah, so our Instagram, link in the description. And then we also have a Discord server, which you can go talk to us on. Me and Jake are both on it. So, if you are, our super fans and you want to talk to us, then just add us or give us a message. And also our Reddit. Yeah, you can just post different memes or whatever videos that you made, videos that you found that you want us to check out, then go check that out too. And yeah, and Facebook group too. Yeah, you can go post stuff to our Facebook group, right? And the link to all of those will be in the description, because we do have a lot of social media, but it's nice to get some, so then you guys can interact with us and we can see what you guys made. And yeah, so yeah.
Thank you so much for watching today's video, and we will see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.